Good morning, and thank you once again for joining me this Thursday on the conversation with Kelly Diamond on voluntary virtues. You can catch me every Thursday at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch my written word every Monday on globalwealthprotection.com. So the big issue, and I guess it comes and goes, waxes and wanes, the issue of vaccines has once again surfaced. And I guess it was inevitable, because the lead up was the Ebola scare, right? And then there's this outbreak of measles. And of course, all the vaccine debates fire up again. The fires are stoked, and we have this exchange once again. And I must say that it's not a very unique discussion. I know, right? It seems like it's a formula. Like if you just switch out some of the variables, you actually have the same conversation happening across various issues. And it's usually around, there's a line there, where, yeah, I was all for liberty up until the point that safety came into play. Then all of a sudden, everything I ever believed about individual liberty just crashed in a plane, crashed into the ground and went up in flames. I mean, it's funny. It's really funny how safety, the issue of safety can all of a sudden compromise whatever issues and whatever beliefs or philosophies you once held dear about personal liberty. I'm all for personal liberty up until, and it reminds me, just as a side note, it reminds me of a lesson my dad had taught me a long time ago. And that is, there's three kinds of people. There's the person who says, I'm never going to fuck you over. And that person inevitably fucks you over. Then there's the person who says, I'll never fuck you over unless it comes down between me and you. It always comes down to me and you. And then there's a person who says, I'm just going to fuck you every which way I can. So then my dad says, who do you want to deal with? And so at the end of the day, you want the person who's honest. You want the enemy you can see. That person is predictable. That person you know and can expect. Right? You have no expectations of anything great, at all, actually. You expect no favors. And their agenda is their own. Right? And I feel like there's a lot of libertarians out there who are like, I'll never fuck you over unless it comes down between you and me. Right? I mean, the politician, at least you can say, well, he's out to fuck you. Right? But it's these fair-weather libertarians that tend to marginalize their own philosophy when it comes down to the issue of safety. And of course, that's the biggest issue. That's what everybody says the government is for. The purpose of government is for safety, the greater good. But if at that point of discussion, you've reached that point of discussion, and that's where you sell out, then you're still a statist, right? So now we get back to the point of vaccine, but more importantly, this herd mentality. Now, just last week, I had discussed the issue of Brad Spangler and all of these, people who at one point were philosophically marching in solidarity with me on personal liberty and individualism became a lynch mob. We need to kill him. He needs to kill himself. Because the safety of other children, the safety of other people is in jeopardy. Never once considering the issue of actual justice, never thinking about the restitution due to the actual victims. We socialize the victimhood. Right? Socialized victimhood. Before that, I was talking about Chris Kyle. Right? And how we have this thank the troops mentality because we believe that they're out there defending our freedoms, well, by we, I mean, the people who support the truth. I don't. There are people who do, and they do because they believe that they're defending our liberty and they're defending our freedom, which I mean is patently false. I mean, sorry, bro. You were sold a bill of goods, and including the person joining the military, they were sold a bill of goods. But nonetheless, this mentality, they're out there fighting the good fight so that it doesn't come here for our safety. Okay? And of course, there's a politician who runs on these platforms about safety. I'm taking away your guns and restricting them. I'm creating more laws, all in the name of safety, for your safety. NDAA, Patriot Act, all of that for your safety. It's for your safety. Then you have the pro-vaccine camp, which is no better, which in many ways is not better than the anti-vax camp, except for one thing. The anti-vax camp has successfully got me questioning the veracity of the claims made by vaccine manufacturers. They have successfully got me questioning whether or not it's worth my while to go and get vaccinated. They have me reading PIs on vaccines. Just reading them. They have me questioning what has always been accepted science for me and many people. Okay? So they have successfully got me to do that. The pro-vaccine camp, on the other hand, has failed. They have failed to keep me subscribed to the idea that vaccines are really that important to our society, that they're really that important to our safety, that they're really that important in general. They can't sell me on it anymore. I'm now at the place, personally, where, I mean, you want to vaccinate, you don't want to vaccinate. I really don't care one way or the other. Okay. I'm not going to. I haven't in 20 years. Over 20 years, I haven't gotten a booster shot. A lot of adults don't, by the way. Okay. So you want to talk about compromising the fucking herd? You shouldn't be looking at the kids. You should be looking at adults. If you think adults are any more sanitary than kids, then you don't hang around in adult crowds much, because they're not really all. I mean, there's a good chunk of adults that just aren't that sanitary, and they don't vaccinate, right? I mean, it's just the way of the world, for better or for worse. So I haven't been sold on the idea that I need to drop my shit and go out and get vaccinated. Not the way I've been sold on the idea of having to go and get an annual pap smear. Okay. I've been sold on that. It's a preventive measure. It's invasive as fuck, but it's a preventive measure. Yeah, it makes sense. Test to see if there's, any shenanigans going on in my plumbing. Nothing? All right, we're good, thanks. Catch it early detection, good thing. We can address situations down there earlier rather than later. Breast exams. Those are a big deal. Those are good to me. So I like that. I like the idea of checking to make sure that I'm good. Checking my, getting a blood test. Checking to make sure that my red blood cells and my white blood cells are all in account, and there's nothing toxic going on in my bloodstream. This is all good stuff. This is all preventive. Okay? I'm for it. So it's not like I'm anti-medicine or anti-science. I do have some misgivings about the politicizing of science. Right? And there's two major cases where this happens: vaccines and climate change. That conversation is identical. That conversation is absolutely, you can't tell the two apart. That is literally a formula. It's got two sides to it. And then you got the people in between who don't give a fuck. And I fall in that camp on both counts. Now, let me give you the climate change conversation. The liberals will say, It is conclusive. The consensus, the scientific consensus, is that we have climate change, global warming, global cooling, burning through the ozone layer, whatever it's called in any given decade. Okay, we have this, and it's man-made. We can stop it. People can stop it. And we need to take more measures to reverse this. We need laws. We need taxes. We need carbon taxes. We need these things, and it doesn't work if everybody doesn't participate. So we're going to ban plastic bags. We're going to ban paper bags. We're going to tax you if you use them. We want a fuel tax. There's a fuel tax for the roads, but there's also a tax because just because you use fuel. Yeah. If everybody got solar panels, used reusable bags, and drove a fucking Prius, we'd be better off. The world would be better. The environment would be turning around. That's the environmentalist position. The climate change people. Science is conclusive. Anybody who denies it is a flat earther. Okay. Are you anti-science now? You get that. The other side. To believe that we can destroy a planet is utter hubris. There's nothing that the human being can do to the planet that space doesn't do 1,000,000 times over to this planet and hasn't done to this planet over the course of millions of years. The abuse that space inflicts upon anything in it is far more horrific than me driving an SUV, than all of us driving an SUV. Can we fuck up the earth for ourselves? Yes, we can. Can we destroy a planet? No. Okay? And honestly, if the greatest polluter in the world is the US government, it seems a little silly that we'd be toting around reusable bags while the United States is dumping depleted uranium all over the fucking world. It ain't gonna do much good, friends. Right? Now, there's the believers and the non-believers, and then there's people like me, right in the middle. Should we be good stewards of the earth? Yeah. Fucking don't be good with your fucking trash lying around. Pick up your shit, you know? When you can, recycle it. It makes sense. Recycling does a lot more to save trees than simply using the other side of a piece of paper. Using the other side of a piece of paper doesn't matter. They've already manufactured the paper. But recycling the paper makes sense because now, instead of using a tree, they're going to use old paper that's already been harvested. Okay? That makes sense. Simple. There are people, there's a full industry that surrounds recycling. We can do this. You know, this is not hard. Right? If you want to compost, and you can, and you've got a yard, and you've got a composter, compost. If you like gardening, composting makes sense. Right? Look for that. You give me a financial incentive, not a financial penalty, but a financial incentive to bring in my own cup. I'll do it. Starbucks does it. Starbucks gives me 5 cents off or 10 cents off if I bring in my own mug. I'll bring in my own mug. That's fine. Keeps it warmer longer. I'll do that. It's not because it's green, right? I have a very high efficiency, low consumption car. It's not a hybrid, but it gets pretty kick-ass mileage. It's not because it's green that I bought it. It's because I don't have to fill the tank as much. I can go a lot further in this car for a lot less. So I got it. It's economical. But in turn, it burns a lot less fuel. Happens to also be green, I guess, you know? I believe in being responsible. You don't have to be a fucking slob. But you don't have to be an enviro-Nazi, and you don't have to believe that you're personally responsible for climate change either, you know? And you don't have to be ambivalent. You could be, you know, you don't have to be empathetic, and you don't have to be a Nazi about it. You can just be a good steward and do responsible things, right? Make responsible everyday choices, however that falls. Yeah? And the same is true for vaccines. If you don't vaccinate, you must be anti-science. It's funny. It's funny because vaccines are to the right what the environment is to the left. It is amazing. So I say, well, if you want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated then. It's that fucking important to you. Shit, I have no problem with any sort of protection. If you feel it's going to help, I mean, stranger things have happened. I've read stories where women have gotten, women who were once attacked and were going to be rape victims started doing crazy shit, and the rapist left because it freaked them out. One woman got on her knees, started barking and eating grass, and a rapist, and the guy who was going to rape her was like, "You're fucking crazy," ran off. Am I saying it's going to work all the time? No, but did it work for her? Yeah, it did. So hey, whatever works for you and protects you or makes you feel safer, go do the damn thing, okay? I don't care if you sit there and shoot up fucking heroin. If you think it helps your immune system and you're convinced that this is the make or break of your life and it's gonna save your life, you fucking do it. The end. I don't even give a fuck what the science says. If you believe it to be safe for you and you believe that it helps you in some way, then I want you to go do it with my blessing. The end. If the science is compelling enough for you to get off your ass, make an appointment, and get injected with whatever the fuck cocktail is in there, then you're going to go do it. If the science isn't compelling enough, your ass is staying home. That's the end. Kind of like the environment. If you're compelled enough by the science that's out there about man-made global warming, then you're going to use reusable bags, have, you know, hemp shoes and clothes, and you're going to, you know, you'll hold your breath for an extra 5 minutes a day to reduce your car, you know, or whatever battery-operated car. And I mean, you'll do these things. You'll do whatever it is you think, and you'll take whatever measures you can afford to do to accommodate your belief in that science. And that's it. I don't oppose environmentalism unto itself. If that's your choice, if you want to go out and, you know, you want to be absolutely fanatical about the environment, then you may. Just don't impose it on me. I ain't got time for that. I'm not going to pay a premium for green products all the time. I'll do it when it makes sense, but I'm not going to do it all the time. I'm not going to pay a $7,000 premium on a car that runs partially on a battery that will never end up paying for itself in gas. Okay? I'm not paying a lot of these premiums. I'm not buying, I don't got solar panels. I'm not getting solar panels. Sorry. So that's that. Okay? I don't oppose any action or inaction on anyone's part. I oppose the imposition on others. So it does being green doesn't work if we all don't do it. Nothing seems to work if we all don't do it. Right? Think about it. Government doesn't work if we all don't do it. We all don't participate. So we're going to blame the people who don't vote. People who don't vote are the reason why we have bad policy now. Yes, blame the person with the fucking alibi. All right? Everybody should vote. The system doesn't work if we all don't vote. That's statism. You have no right to complain if you don't vote. If you do vote, then it's tacit consent to whatever outcome you get because you decided to participate. Can't win. That's the voting argument. But look at all of this herd mentality. Everyone has to do it or it doesn't fucking work. And that's the same argument with vaccines, right? Only the people who are immunocompromised should be exempt, and everyone else should get vaccinated. That's the way vaccines work. Vaccines don't work if you're the only person vaccinated. Okay, so that's kind of weird, right? Because I mean, isn't that why they tell you to get vaccinated? If you're going to go to a country that has high, I don't know, I guess, a lot more cases of, say, diphtheria. I don't know where they have it, but wherever, you're going to go to some backwoods third world country, right? They tell you, get your vaccinations. Get vaccinated for everything. Because that sickness exists out there in higher numbers than here. Well, wait a minute. What good is my vaccine going to do if the people out there aren't vaccinated? What good does my vaccine do if it relies on everyone else being vaccinated? Alternatively, the vaccine does provide a measure of protection regardless of how many people are vaccinated. You could be the only one, and it would still provide a measure of protection. All right. Then there's a reason for you to get it. But if you're expecting me to drop my shit and go get pumped full of vaccines, then you're fucking crazy. I'm not doing it. I see no compelling argument to go and do it. I don't care if I get rotavirus. I'm not going to die from rotavirus in a first world country. I could get it, but I'm not going to die from it. I'm going to have a really bad case of the shits. Rotavirus feels a lot like a bad day at Taco Bell. And your worst case scenario is that you're going to get hooked up to a bag of saline. And eventually your ass will cool off. I'm going to get a fucking, why would I want to get a vaccine for something that I can't die from? The only reason why I would want to get a vaccine is if I'm going to have a slow and painful death, and that there's any likelihood of me getting the goddamn thing. There's like a couple hundred cases in the world of debilitating polio. I mean, there's cases of polio, but debilitating polio, the one where it paralyzes you, it fucks you up. That one, a couple of hundred in the world. I don't even know if you can actually die of measles here in the United States. I know you can get it. There have been outbreaks. In the United States, more people have died from the actual vaccine than from measles. So that's awkward. I don't know. I mean, if I'm sitting here just weighing out the cost-benefit analysis of vaccines, and I'm looking at some of these side effects, and look, we don't even have to talk about autism. Okay? Neurological damage is just one in a litany of things that could happen. At one point, I think there was a vaccine where there was there was a possibility of your intestines consuming themselves. It's called telescopic something. It's a page out of a sci-fi horror story of this possibility. It's basically like your intestines eat themselves and you cannibalize yourself or some shit. Or you can get sick for a little while. I'll get sick. I'll chance it. When I was growing up, I didn't have half the vaccines that these kids are getting pumped full of. I never got a flu vaccine my entire life. Ever. No, I lied. I got it once. But then I asked myself why. I also voted once. I have no idea why I did either. I've got a few things like that in my life, but I have to say, I don't know why I voted and I don't know why I freaking got a vaccine. The flu vaccine, they usually get it wrong. It's a coin toss. You know, I mean, somebody plays, what, they do rock, paper, scissors in the back and decide which one is gonna, best 2 out of 3. They pick that strain. They've gotten it wrong more times than right. Who fucking cares about the goddamn flu? Get the goddamn flu! And then get over it. People could die from flu. People have died from flu. People have died, period. From far worse. If you're worried about the immunity of children in particular, okay? Because apparently adults are not so much, but the children! I'm not saying the fucking libertarians make the children argument. They might as well make the fucking roads argument. The children. Okay, the children? Well, if we're going to talk about vaccines and we're going to talk about fucking immunity for children, okay, then I want to make sure that you're breastfeeding until 2. Are you doing that? Because, I mean, there is a medical link, okay? Not just a correlation, but causation. Children who breastfeed have stronger immunity than children who are on formula. And the more exclusive the breastfeeding, and the less involvement with formula there is, the higher their immunity. Are you going to breastfeed for 2 years? Do that first. That's step 1. Okay? Because understand that under 2, these children are immunocompromised anyway. They can't get pumped full of vaccines. So they're going to need something else other than a biodome. Somewhere in there, you're going to need to get a life, go grocery shopping and run some fucking errands in the public, okay? And take your kid with you. Well, latch that kid onto your tit and help your immune system then. But we've abandoned breastfeeding. We shame it in our society, you know. We say, well, if you want to. We make that a choice. Breastfeeding's a fucking choice. But vaccines aren't. Vaccines are slowly becoming mandated and compulsory. Why is that not a choice? But breastfeeding is a choice. Why? They both are supposedly supposed to medically help and boost the immune system of children. But we shame breastfeeding. And we beat tom-toms over a fucking vaccine. Just, all I'm asking is for y'all to be consistent. The next step, if we really give 2 tin fucks about children's immunity, there is no fast food. There is no processed sugar. That is completely outside your market. You are no longer a patron of those things. I know, Mom. I know you're fucking busy. And I know it'd be easier if you could just have pizza night. But your ass ain't getting pizza night. There is no fucking Taco Tuesday. Your ass is getting organic. Don't panic. It's organic produce. Non-GMO. Right? Gluten-free. Free-range. Grass-fed. Crunchy ass granola motherfuckers. That's your diet. Macrobiotic. You're going full blown macrobiotic. You don't even cook shit over 180 degrees. Live foods, bitches. Salads all day long. Juice it. Blend it. Eat it. If you're thinking that your diet has nothing to do with your immune system, you are sadly mistaken, friends. Especially for children. Childhood obesity certainly is an issue in the United States. And that's mainly because parents have looked at vaccines as nothing more than these, than these other medications that they take. Well, let's see. I have diabetes, but I still want to eat sweets. What can I do? Well, I'll get you some medication for that. Well, I'm lactose intolerant, but I still want to have dairy products. What can I do? Well, we have a pill for that. I have high blood pressure and high cholesterol. What should I do about that? Because I still want to eat bacon. Oh, you still want to eat bacon? We have a pill for that. We have a regimen for that. My hormones are all fucked up. Oh, well, your hormones are... Look, we've got a pill for that too. We've got pills for all the fucking things that ail you so that you can still lead your fucked up high risk life. You can still eat like an asshole, and we'll just medicate you back to regularity. And that's what vaccines have become. Vaccines have become the quick fix for your immunity because apparently we don't want to go through the actual painstaking process of taking care of ourselves. That's how I see it. What, you're gonna go to fucking McDonald's, but at least your kid's vaccinated? Your 2-year-old is chomping on mystery meat, and that's okay? And for dessert, a fucking Twinkie, that's okay. And then chasing it all down with a fucking Coke. That's okay. That's fine. I have free choice. But you don't want to pump them full of fucking vaccines? Who cares what the PI says? It's for the greater good. Yeah, you can make that argument until your child is the 1 in 1 million, or the 1 in 1,000, or the 1 in 5,000 that gets one of the adverse effects. Like any other invasive medication or any other medical process, if you're weighing it out and you say to yourself, you know what, that's kind of fucked up, I don't know if it's really worth it. Worst case scenario, I get measles. Worst case scenario, I do irreparable neurological damage. Or my kids' intestines start to fucking cannibalize themselves. Or, they get anaphylaxis or some fucked up shit. Any list of things. It's not just autism. Okay? There's a myriad of different side effects that have been attributable to vaccines. I'd really like to see those studies, actually. There's no science, there's no studies, there's just these quacks that are doing... Of course, it's ad hominem. We have to attack the credibility of these doctors rather than look at the veracity of their claims, right? That's what we've been doing. And this is why the anti-vax camp has at least got me questioning whether or not I want to be vaccinated. They've successfully got me questioning the norm. They've successfully got me weighing it out and saying, wait, you do realize there are potential side effects, right? You know that. Wait, there are? Yeah, why don't you read the PI? Okay. Here, why don't you read the list of warnings on the label? Read the ingredients. Just read the ingredients and then see what a normal, healthy, allowable CDC-approved dose of that is. And then see how much of that is in your vaccine. Just check the fucking ingredients. You don't have to put on a lab coat. You don't have to be a doctor to do this. Right? I think that's a fair request. Well, turns out I did a cost-benefit analysis and realized that it's really just not that important for me to go get vaccinated. So I'm not gonna. There's plenty of other, I'm not the only one. And I'm not an anti-vax, I'm not the huge anti-vax person. I just can't see the fucking argument to do it. I'm not worried about polio. I'm not worried about getting the fucking measles. I've already had the chicken pox and I've gotten the flu a few times in my life. I don't care. The introduction of fucking plumbing did more to reduce disease spread in the United States and in first world countries than vaccines. That's just a fact. Hygiene has done more to mitigate the spread of disease than vaccines. Breastfeed your kids for the first 2 years, teach them good hygiene practices, and then when they start to learn to wash their hands and not pick their ass and fondle their fucking shit and pick their nose and wipe it all over shit, once they get to that place, take them off the fucking tit and send them on their merry way. that would still do more for the purposes of mitigating the spread of disease. I feel. But like I said, I'm not trying to ban vaccines, but I would like people to question it. I would like people to see what would happen if we just said no. I also like to see that experiment in taxes. I wish we could all just say, I'm not going to pay my shit. Now what? Right? All this shit, it only works if everybody does it. Well, man, I hear that and I already know it's fucked up. I don't give a shit what it is. If it relies on everybody doing it by force, then it's a stupid idea and you need to start from scratch and find another way. So in the meantime, wash your fucking hands. Don't eat your own shit. Start baby steps. You know? And if you want to inject this shit in yourself, then do it. But don't expect everybody to get on your bandwagon. The science isn't as conclusive as you would like it to be. It's conclusive enough for you, not conclusive enough for everybody. All right. Catch you next week. Bye.